The US Spyship lands back on Earth. Isar Aerospace rocket maiden flight date is set. SpaceX Starbase update. SpaceX increases launch cadence. Firefly lander biggest achievement. A lot of noise in space. Launches of the week. Hi everyone, I'm Christophe Paget from All About Space, and this is your space update. The United States Space Force has last launched its spaceplane called X-37B, manufactured by Boeing. The craft was launched from Florida back on December 29, 2023, with a Falcon Heavy rocket. This was the fourth flight of this spaceplane, which was in space for over 434 days, which is not even a record. Just in the USA, the X-37B was in space for 909 days during its third flight between May 2020 and November 2022. During this fourth flight, the X-37B has used a highly elliptical and high Earth orbit. The spacecraft also tested aerobrake maneuvers. It finally landed a few days ago in California at Vandenberg Space Force Base. The craft looks in very good shape, as you can see on the screen, and the US Space Force has granted us a single picture from the X-37B taken some weeks or even months ago of Earth from quite a distance away. Isar Aerospace was granted a license from the Norwegian Civil Aviation Authority to launch the Isar Aerospace rocket called Spectrum out of the spaceport of Andøya in the northwest of the country. The rocket has already conducted its first and second stage static fires. The maiden flight is now set for Sunday the 23rd of March at the earliest. I will of course cover this event and wish Isar the best of luck to be the first vertical launch of a European rocket from a European spaceport. At Starbase in Texas, SpaceX is continuing the repair and upgrade of its Launch Mount number 1 and progressing on the construction of the Launch Mount number 2 as well. Now, of course, the Launch Mount number 2 is having a brand new design compared to the old one. The Launch Tower number 2 now is also having some work done pretty much everywhere, on the arms, at the base, and along the tower itself. Continuing with Tower number 2, there has been a cement truck galore feeding the new flame trench. At the production site, SpaceX has just rolled out the forward section of its Starship number 37 with still unfinished thermal protection tile systems and moved to the mega bay to start the ship assembly. Usually, more tiles are installed on the ship before the start of assembly operation. The FAA has released a draft environmental assessment to increase Falcon 9 launches at Space Launch Complex number 40 from 50 to 120 launches and to build a new landing zone near Space Launch Complex 40. Now, this is the clear signal that the ramp-up plan by SpaceX will be considerable. A message by Elon Musk on X emphasized that SpaceX is already today launching 90% of payload mass to orbit this year. China will be next with 5%, and the rest of the world, including the rest of America, around 5%. When Starship is launching at high rate, SpaceX is expected to launch 99% of Earth's payload mass to orbit. Of course, we have more and more companies coming in and should surely change that view, so time will tell. Just in the past 7 decades, 152 lunar missions have attempted to reach the moon. Most of them were from governmental bodies. Only a handful of these missions were moon landing missions. Firefly Aerospace is the only private company successfully landing on the surface of the moon in one piece and the right way up, and even achieving all the goals it planned. The lander is called Blue Ghost and was carrying 10 instruments from NASA and landed in Mare Crisium at the beginning of the moon daylight and lasted for about 2 weeks, which is the duration of the daylight on the moon. If you can hold on until the end of this episode, you will see magnificent pictures from Blue Ghost. Nevertheless, landing safely on the moon is extremely hard, and a beginner in this type of vehicle has managed what experienced governmental teams have failed to do. So well done to Firefly team for this incredible achievement. A highly anticipated and mediatized trip to the ISS was that of the Crew 10 from SpaceX, with one astronaut from JAXA, Takuya Onishi, one cosmonaut from Roscosmos, Kirill Peskov, and two astronauts from NASA, Nicole Ayer and Anne McLean. Now, they arrive at the ISS on March 16th to replace the Crew 9. The Crew 9 has also made a lot of noise in the media because two of them were NASA astronauts flight testing the Boeing Starliner capsule, Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. They joined the NASA astronaut Nick Hague and the Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbunov. The SpaceX capsule landed safely back on Earth, and the crew was extracted and returned to NASA facilities for health checks. I will not go into the media controversy, as you might have heard enough about it by now. This week was a busy week. Indeed, on March 14th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from Florida for its crew replacement mission to the ISS called Crew 10, which will relieve Crew 9, including the two test astronauts from the Boeing Starliner. The Dragon capsule flew for its fourth time, while the first stage flew for its second time and landed back to site. March 15th, Rocket Lab launched its Electron rocket from New Zealand for its mission, the Lightning God Rains. On the same day, CSC launched a Long March 2D from China for its mission SuperView Neo 302. Later on that day, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from California for its mission Transporter 13, dedicated for SSO rideshare. The first stage flew for the 13th time and landed back to site. This launch was followed by another launch from SpaceX of a Falcon 9 from Florida for a Starlink mission Group 1216. The first stage flew for its 18th time and landed on a drone ship. March 16th, the Khrunichev State Research and Production Space Center launched an Angara 1.2 rocket from Russia for its mission Cosmos 2585/7. On March 17th, Galactic Energy launched a Ceres 1 rocket from China for its mission Auld Lang Syne. March 18th, Rocket Lab launched an Electron rocket from New Zealand for its mission High 5 for the French company Kinéis. On the same day, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from Florida for its Starlink mission Group 1225. The first stage flew for its 19th time and landed on a drone ship. In summary, from January 1st until March 20th, 2025, 57 rockets were launched successfully. Out of that, 37 were from an American company or institution, 13 from China, and 4 from Russia. I leave you this week with very recent pictures from the Blue Ghost lander from Firefly Aerospace, currently located on our moon's surface near the Mare Crisium Basin. The lander successfully touched down on the moon on March 2nd, right at the moon's sunrise, and operated several payloads successfully until the moon's sunset on the March 17th, 2025. Now, what you see is the last pictures of the Blue Ghost lander of the moon's sunset before another fortnight of darkness. Today's lander, without nuclear power sources, do not survive the cold temperatures of the moon nights, so it's a goodbye to Blue Ghost lander, and it's a goodbye from me. See you at the next episode of Space News.